At 5:17 local time in the Persian Gulf, the radar tone shifts. Inside the Combat Information Center, the familiar cadence of tracking routine surface traffic is broken by something far more urgent. A fast, narrow return appears at low altitude and high speed. New contact bearing 087, then another alert, then one more. In just 3 seconds, the tactical display fills with 3 confirmed tracks racing only feet above the water. The watch supervisor reacts instantly. Vampires inbound. No one asks where they came from. The answer is already on the screen. Range, 42 nautical miles. Speed, high subsonic. Profile, sea skimming. Up on the carrier's flight deck, deck crew stop in place as the 1MC cuts through the air. General quarters, all hands man your battle stations. In less than 10 seconds, the carrier shifts from routine patrol to full combat posture. Condition 3 becomes Condition 1. Across the strike group, the change is immediate. An Aegis cruiser 5 miles off the carrier's port quarter locks onto the contacts with its SPY-1 radar. The destroyer screening starboard brings its combat system to automatic engagement readiness. Data links surge to full bandwidth. Every ship now sees the same threat picture. 3 inbound tracks become 5, then 7. The electronic warfare officer reports without hesitation. Coastal fire control radar spike detected. Bearing 110. Intermittent sweep. No one speculates. No one wastes a word. The tracks are drawing into a tighter formation, flying under 15 feet above sea level, built to remain below the radar horizon for as long as possible. High above the carrier, an E-2D Hawkeye expands its orbit. Its radar dome sweeps the sky, sending a composite battlespace picture down to every ship in the formation. From 25,000 feet, it can see what sea-level sensors cannot. The Hawkeye operator counts them out. Multiple fast movers confirmed. 12 total contacts. 12. This is not a test, not a signal. It is a saturation attack. On the carrier's bridge, the captain stands still, eyes fixed on the repeater display. His voice remains calm. Engage outer layer. Do not wait for terminal phase. Below deck, missile crews release safety interlocks on the vertical launch system. Hydraulic pressure builds, cell hatches go live. Then a different tone slices through the CIC. Higher pitch, different path. A new track rises rapidly from the coastline, climbing in a steep arc. Ballistic profile detected. High altitude ascent. For half a second, the room goes quiet. A cruise missile attack is dangerous. A ballistic missile changes everything. The tactical display updates again. The new track climbs past 100,000 feet before bending toward the strike group. Predicted impact point, carrier strike group, center mass. Time to terminal phase, less than 2 minutes. Meanwhile, the first cruise missiles drop beneath radar coverage, skimming so close to the surface that spray bursts beneath them as they cut bright white scars across the Gulf. Range now 28 nautical miles. The cruiser's Aegis system begins assigning interceptors automatically. Firing solutions are calculated in milliseconds. The carrier holds course. No evasive maneuver yet. Speed remains steady. Panic costs time. Discipline preserves it. Time to first intercept, the tactical action officer announces, sharp and precise. 68 seconds. On the destroyer's forward deck, vertical launch hatches snap open one after another. Heavy steel panels fold back into the early light. The missiles inside are already active. Inside CIC, the clock keeps dropping. 50 seconds. The inbound tracks begin to separate, deliberately complicating the defense. One missile dips even lower, nearly disappearing into sea clutter. 38 seconds. The ballistic track reaches apogee. Across the formation, radar arrays tighten their lock. Electronic countermeasures pulse outward, trying to break or distort guidance. 25 seconds. Then the order comes. Fire. The first SM-6 blasts from its cell in a tower of flame, pitching skyward before turning hard toward its assigned target. A second follows almost instantly, then a third. From the carrier's deck, sailors look up as white contrails tear across the sky. Inside the CIC, no one celebrates. No one speaks unless necessary. The missiles are still coming. The ballistic track begins to descend. The impact window narrows, and for the next 60 seconds, the entire strike group waits to learn whose calculations were better. The first intercept happens beyond the horizon. On the SPY-1 display, track 441 flashes once and disappears. Splash 1. The call carries no emotion, only confirmation. 40 nautical miles out, an SM-6 collides with the lead cruise missile at a closing speed above Mach 5. The explosion cannot be seen from the carrier, but debris falls into the Gulf in a widening arc. 2 seconds later, another track vanishes. Splash 2. The Aegis system does not pause. It reallocates, recalculates, assigns the next shots, but the incoming formation breaks apart. 4 missiles stay on course toward the carrier's bow. 3 turn sharply to starboard, targeting the outer destroyer screen. 2 descend even lower, slipping into the radar shadow created by the curvature of the sea and heavy surface clutter. This was planned. Overhead, the ballistic track tips into terminal descent. Ballistic re-entry confirmed, the cruiser reports. SM-3 solution ready. At the far edge of the formation, another launch cell opens. The SM-3 departs almost cleanly. Compared with the brutal roar of the SM-6, its ascent is sharper, quieter, and almost elegant as it disappears into the high blue sky. Below, the cruise missiles close to 22 nautical miles. Inside the carrier's Combat Information Center, the Tactical Action Officer leans over the console. Recommend Ripple ESSM. Engage low flyers, execute from the port destroyer. Evolved Sea Sparrow missiles launch in tight pairs. Smaller and quicker off the rail, designed exactly for this layer of defense. At 50 nautical miles, one incoming missile makes a last-second maneuver. Its guidance system scrambles, trying to adjust. It doesn't help. An ESSM meets it mid-turn, tearing it apart in a brief flash on the horizon. Splash 3. Another sea-skimming missile drops even lower, nearly touching the surface. A thin trail of spray follows behind it like a scar across the water. Range 12 nautical miles. The outer defensive layer has reduced the threat, but not eliminated it. One missile breaks through, range 9 nautical miles. Inside the CIC, voices tighten, not louder, just more precise. Track 452 still inbound, speed steady, altitude minimal. Up on the carrier's island, the forward phalanx close-in weapon system rotates toward bearing 089. Its radar locks on automatically. At 5 nautical miles, the missile rises slightly to clear a swell. That small movement is enough. CIWS free. The phalanx erupts, not in bursts, but in a continuous mechanical roar. 75 rounds per second create a dense wall of tungsten between the ship and the threat. The missile shudders under impact. Guidance fails. It breaks apart less than 2 miles from the hull. Fragments scatter across the water in a violent spray. Kill confirmed. No celebration. Not yet. 2 more tracks remain. One angles toward the starboard destroyer. Another shifts unexpectedly, redirecting toward the cruiser. Range 7 nautical miles. The destroyer fires another pair of ESSMs. The first nearly misses as the missile weaves aggressively. The second connects. Splash 4. The final cruise missile closes within 4 nautical miles of the cruiser. Its seeker goes fully active. Inside CIC, the electronic warfare officer responds instantly, sending a focused jamming burst. False signals flood the missile's receiver, phantom targets slightly offset from the real ship. For a split second, the track hesitates, then it corrects. Too late. The cruiser's aft phalanx opens up. The stream of rounds intercepts the missile at just over a nautical mile from the ship. The explosion is visible even from the carrier, low, sharp, and close. Splash 5. Silence follows. Brief. Tense. Then the ballistic intercept report comes through. Exo-atmospheric intercept successful. Far above, beyond anything visible, the SM-3 has struck the descending ballistic threat. It never reaches its final phase. On the shared tactical display, every inbound track is gone. But the calm lasts only seconds. A sensor operator leans forward. New launch detected. Bearing 110. Multiple. The coastline lights up again with fresh thermal signatures. This isn't over. It's continuing. The radar picture doesn't clear. It grows. Bearing 110 brightens as new contacts lift off from the Iranian coastline. Smaller returns this time. Slower. Dozens. Drone swarm detected. Multiple low-signature targets. At the same moment, surface radar picks up 3 fast attack craft accelerating out of a coastal inlet. Speed, 35 knots and climbing, heading straight for the strike group. This is no longer a single-direction attack. It's layered pressure, air and surface combined. Inside the carrier's CIC, the display splits into sectors. Air defense tracks the drones. Surface warfare locks onto the fast boats. Electronic warfare searches for control signals. Above the formation, 2 FA-18 Super Hornets climb past 10,000 feet, shifting from defense to active screening. Under their wings, anti-surface weapons ready. Behind them, EA-18G Growlers activate their jamming pods. The electromagnetic spectrum fills with interference. The first wave of drones drops below 200 feet. Not fast, but numerous. Small delta-wing shapes following programmed paths. The cruiser fires another pair of ESSMs. 2 drones vanish, 10 remain. The destroyer switches to rolling airframe missiles, short-range, heat-seeking. 3 more targets explode mid-air. Still, they keep coming. Then something unusual appears. 1 radar contact flickers and disappears. Not destroyed, not impacted, just gone. Track 671 lost, a sensor operator reports. No explosion. Another drone begins to drift. Its course falters, turning into a slow spiral downward. Then another. Inside CIC, the electronic warfare officer leans closer. We're not hitting those. He checks the spectrum analyzer. Their command link just dropped. Along the coastline, radar emissions spike, then fluctuate. Signal strength dips. The Growlers expand their jamming field. At the same time, a classified electronic warfare system activates aboard the cruiser. Low power, tightly focused. Another drone's signal flickers. Its telemetry collapses mid-flight. It falls into the water without detonating. Across the radar screen, more drones begin to wander off course, as if suddenly blind. Loss of guidance confirmed, the officer says quietly. No explosions, no impacts, just silence where threats should have been. Meanwhile, the fast attack craft close to 18 nautical miles. The Hornets descend, locking onto them visually. Laser targeting marks the lead vessel. The boats continue forward, but their radar output weakens. On the carrier, technicians confirm something unusual. This isn't just jamming, it's cutting the connection, breaking the link between coastal radar, drone control, and mid-course guidance. Targets are losing control in mid-flight. Back in CIC, one more cruise missile from the second wave pushes through the outer defenses. Range, 14 nautical miles. It drops hard, then suddenly falters. Its seeker sweeps wide once, then goes dark. For half a second, the track hangs frozen on the display before the missile pitches down and disappears into the Gulf. No flash, no debris cloud, only a distant splash. The electronic warfare officer lets out a single breath. Guidance failure confirmed. For the first time since 5/17, the number of incoming threats begins falling faster than interceptors are being launched. Not because every weapon is being shot down, but because those weapons are losing the ability to see. Along the Iranian coastline, radar signatures begin to flicker. Fire control locks blink on, then off again. Inside the carrier's CIC, analysts watch the pattern unfold in real time. This capability was never intended for open use. It was built for contingency, for the worst possible moment. Now it is fully in play. Missiles and drones are failing mid-flight, not because they were hit, but because they were cut off. The Hornets close to within 12 nautical miles of the fast attack craft. The lead Iranian vessel slows slightly, its wake shortens. On radar, its targeting beam weakens. Another drone drops into the sea before reaching its final run. Inside CIC, a new phrase moves quietly from console to console. Network disruption effect expanding. The ballistic arc from the second launch attempt never fully stabilizes. Its guidance struggles to recover. Then the track breaks apart on the display. High above the Gulf, the warhead tumbles off course and splashes down far wide of the carrier group. For a brief moment, the entire battle space goes still. No inbound locks, no radar spikes, no drone vectors, only the distant growl of jet engines overhead and the low hum of cooling missile cells. The Iranian fast attack craft are now 15 nautical miles away, and they are slowing. They have not been fired upon yet, but something far more unsettling has happened. Their weapons did not fail. Their network did, and the strike group is still untouched. Inside CIC, the captain speaks at last. Maintain posture. Do not pursue, because the unthinkable has already happened. The attack did not break against steel. It broke against silence. The sky belongs to the strike group now. At 15 nautical miles, the Iranian fast attack craft begin to fan out, trying for lateral separation. A classic swarm move, force multiple targeting choices, complicate the firing solution. The Hornets are already ahead of them. Surface contacts locked, Viper 1 reports. Laser designation active, no warning shot, no dramatic exchange, just clean geometry. At 12 nautical miles, the lead FA-18 releases a single AGM-84 harpoon. The missile drops clean, ignites, and levels off just above the water, skimming low and fast until terminal approach. The Iranian boat throws itself into a hard starboard turn. Too late. The harpoon hits just aft of the bridge. A flash. A rising plume. Propulsion is lost immediately. Dead in the water, but still afloat. Disabled. The second fast attack craft slows sharply. It is no longer charging. It is reconsidering. Above them, the Growlers widen the electronic umbrella. Iranian surface search radar flickers again, struggling to hold a reliable picture of the American aircraft. Back in the carrier's CIC, the drone picture keeps thinning. Remaining UAVs drifting, an operator reports. Multiple uncontrolled descents. One drone tries to recover navigation. It banks sharply toward the carrier's outer screen. The destroyer does not fire. The Growler changes frequency. The drone's telemetry vanishes. It spirals down and impacts harmlessly half a mile short of the formation. The final operational cruise missile launcher on the coastline attempts one last radar spike. Brief, but enough. Aegis catches it instantly. Before any missile can leave the rail, a Tomahawk targeting solution is generated aboard the cruiser. The captain does not authorize the strike. Not yet. Because the mission was defense, and defense has already held. Then one more surprise appears. High-altitude track. Bearing 105. Possible ballistic reattempt. The contact climbs fast and steep. One final try. Inside CIC, there is no pause. SM-3 ready. The interceptor launches in a clean vertical column, climbing out of the atmosphere on guidance from shipboard radar and overhead sensors. At exoatmospheric altitude, it meets the incoming warhead in a direct kinetic collision. No explosive payload, just speed, timing, and pure force. From the Gulf below, the flash is faint, barely visible in the early morning light. Intercept confirmed. That is the second ballistic kill of the morning. Along the Iranian coastline, the radar network dims again. Emissions drop close to zero. Surface contacts begin pulling back toward territorial waters. In the cockpit of Viper 1, the lead pilot watches the disabled patrol boat settle lower in the water, smoke trailing behind it. Second vessel turning cold, he reports. No pursuit order comes. The Hornets remain overhead at 20,000 feet, circling, visible, unmistakably in control. On the carrier deck, the mood shifts from crisis to calculation. Ordnance crews reload rails. Fuel lines stay connected. Flight operations do not stand down, because control is never announced. It is maintained. The Growlers begin reducing jamming power step by step, watching for any renewed signal spike. Nothing. On radar, the Iranian coastline is quiet. Too quiet. Inside CIC, the tactical picture is now clean. No inbound threats, no active fire control locks, no drone telemetry. The strike group remains fully intact. Zero hull damage, zero casualties. The captain studies the display one final time before giving the order. Resume transit. Maintain elevated posture. The carrier never altered its course. It never turned away. Now it moves forward through the Gulf as if nothing ever happened. Behind it, the disabled fast attack craft drifts slowly, being towed by smaller Iranian vessels rushing to recover them. No American ship crosses into coastal waters. No counterstrike follows, but the message is clear. Every missile failed, every drone lost its vision, every radar link collapsed. And the carrier never hesitated. Above the formation, a fresh pair of Hornets replaces the first, keeping constant air coverage. The E-2D Hawkeye remains on station. Destroyers subtly adjust their spacing, tightening the defensive ring without breaking formation. Adrenaline fades, discipline takes over, procedure replaces urgency. Inside the CIC, a young operations specialist watches the replay feed. He studies the moment when entire drone tracks simply disappeared. He says nothing, but no one needs to hear it spoken. Missiles can be intercepted, boats can be stopped. But what happened this morning was something different. It wasn't just layered defense, it was complete denial of the system behind the attack. The strike group didn't just endure a saturation attempt, it dismantled the structure that made it possible. And that is far more unsettling than any visible damage. As the sun climbs higher over the Persian Gulf, the carrier continues along its plotted route, untouched, unwavering. The Iranian coastline fades into a light haze. No radar spikes, no new launches, just open water and silence. By 6:42 local time, the Gulf looks calm again. No contrails, no distant impacts, nothing to suggest what unfolded over the last 90 minutes. Inside the Combat Information Center, the display is clean. Every track has been logged, every signal recorded, every failure measured down to fractions of a second. The strike group remains at full readiness, not because another attack is expected, because readiness itself sends the message. On the flight deck, Super Hornets cycle through refueling and rearming. Growlers power down their systems but stay prepared. The Hawkeye rotates out, seamlessly replaced by another aircraft. No celebration, no speeches, just a professional reset. On the bridge, the captain watches the formation hold its shape, destroyers at the edges, cruiser positioned for coverage, unseen assets below the surface, maintaining their silent watch. He gives a single instruction: hold posture, no pursuit. The Iranian fast attack craft are now deep inside their own waters. One drifts under tow. The others have shut down their radar completely. They are no longer advancing. They are observing, and that is enough. Because this was not a lucky defense. It was controlled execution. Iran launched first. Cruise missiles, ballistic attempts, a coordinated drone swarm, fast attack craft closing in. A full saturation effort. The strike group responded with precision, outer layer intercepts, mid-range defense, close-in engagement, air control overhead, electronic pressure across the spectrum. But the decisive moment wasn't physical, it was digital. Missiles lost guidance mid-flight, drones drifted without direction, coastal radar systems faltered under pressure they couldn't overcome. The real turning point wasn't destruction, it was disruption. No strikes were launched against land targets. No escalation followed. No dramatic aftermath. There didn't need to be. The demonstration spoke for itself. Inside the CIC, analysts review the engagement again. They isolate the exact moment a cruise missile hesitated, its seeker scanning before going blind. They examine ballistic intercept data. They map how the disruption spread through the network. Every second becomes insight, and insight becomes deterrence. Across the Gulf, Iranian radar remains silent. Not destroyed, just cautious. Because now they understand something new. Their missiles can be tracked. Their drones can be neutralized. Their networks can be broken. And the carrier remains standing. The strike group continues forward at steady speed. No deviation, no symbolic maneuver, just movement. The message is quiet, but unmistakable. We will not escalate recklessly, but we will not be touched. Elsewhere, there will be no dramatic announcements, only internal analysis, adjustments, questions. Out here, shipping lanes reopen under the same protective presence that held firm at 517. Above the carrier, hornets circle in calm arcs. Beneath the surface, submarines reposition without a sound. Destroyers continue scanning, unchanged. Nothing appears different. Yet everything has changed. A limit was tested, and it failed. The attack began with force. It ended with control. The strike group never broke formation, and the most unexpected outcome was not destruction. It was dominance, achieved without escalation. The Gulf remains tense, it always has been. But this morning drew a line that didn't need fire or smoke to be understood. Next time, the approach may change, the tactics may evolve. But one question will remain. Will they recognize the outcome before their systems go dark again? Out here, strength matters, training matters, but control matters more. And this morning, control held.